fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got with the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
It's back to Blighty. It's a track which holds a lot of heritage and a lot of history to go along with it. This is a track which requires pinpoint accuracy and deals with elevation change like no other track tends to do when you reach the United Kingdom. This track, IndyCar tried to find themselves a way here, but what you find is this is normally the pinnacle of resting places for championships. This marks the end of no drop rounds here today, because from here on out, we start totaling up these drop rounds in the Porsche iRacing Cup, these Porsche eSports qualifiers, the Supercup qualifiers here, as qualifying currently underway at the moment. Matt Backham at the top of the timing stands, 123.826. It's Jake Sperry here in the commentary box for a SimSpeed TV presentation as Sindre Setsource goes to the top, 123.811. Be happy with that one, Sindre. With Jay Kennedy alongside me. Jay, it's 3 inside a 10th of a second as drivers look to get those qualifying laps in. A 24-1 for Dennis Grabowski puts him in a nice position. Yao Vaz up to 3rd. The form book has changed.
Yeah, hello everyone. It's going to be an interesting race, and as you said, really, really tight at the top. Top 21, 7/10 of a second, incredibly tight. Full field of 25 cars as well. What more would we want here for an awesome Saturday of racing? Vecchio in last, you wouldn't have thought that earlier in the season as well.
No, you certainly wouldn't have Vecchio in 25th position on a non-representative flying lap, a 247.2. Same for Salva Talens in a 237.2 at the moment. Matti Kaidasoya out there on track, and let's talk track conditions for a moment here today. It is freezing in what can only be described as February conditions here at Brands Hatch, because it is 19 degrees on track and it is bitterly cold.
Yeah, it's a very, very cold track, and some drivers probably wouldn't have prepared for that, hoping that the conditions were a little bit warmer. But as you said, it's probably warmer than it would really be for a February day here in real life. We'll see what Kaidasoya can do on his second flying lap. He actually sets a record. Yeah, good lap. Goes to 10th.
Yeah, it's 10th place. It's a brilliant time from Matty in the number 10 car, so you can be happy with that, as drivers have pretty much all set their times here and nobody is out on a flying lap. So what we can do for you is get you up the grid for you right about now. It will be the core sim racing car of Sindre Setsource on pole position, with Mac Backham alongside him. 15 thousandths the difference on pole position. Yao Vaz will go from 3rd, with Julian Rodriguez in 4th position. Jonas Vollmeyer starts from 5th in the number 5 car. Mark Perez starts from 6th in the number 6 car. Jeff Giassi for the Positive Sim Racing team will start this one from 7th, with Ivo Howler, a man on the bubble at the moment for top 20 qualification. He finds himself in 8th. Marin Cholak, winner last time out, is in 9th. And Matti Kaidasoya rounds the top 10.
Yep, then we got Christopher Dambeats in 11th position, with Alanda in 12th position. Brian Lockwood in 13th with Dennis Grabowski in 14th. We've got Kim Eriksson and Carl Janssen on the 8th row. 9th row is Peter Berriman. Alexander Luritzen, only driver from Maltus Esports this round. Of course, previous winner in the series, Josh Anderson, actually won the Aussie racing cars at Bathurst this weekend for the Bathurst 12 hour. So congratulations to Josh. Telston and Lebert on row number 10.
And then the final 5, and it is some surprising here because you got an all-Coanda 11th row, Joni Takkanen and Ricky Castro-Lado going from there, following Adria Perez, and then the 2 drivers who did not set representative lap times around a very, very tough track. You got the likes of Salva Taylors and Gianni Vecchio, who did not set those lap times. Worth noting, when it comes to the championship, there are drivers who have had some great results over the course of this season. The championship leader not here for this race, and that is Alexander Thebe. But Thebe does not have to worry. He scored his points earlier on in a split that was very much identical in terms of strength of field. It's 7,500 for this one today, and he has all but booked his place into the Porsche Esports Supercup with his results, and he can be very, very happy with the way that he has gone about his racing. But you've got yourself 2 minutes to grid yourself up here for this 18-lap race around Brands Hatch, or you will have to start that place known as Pit Road. And starting from that place known as Pit Road can be really, really difficult for a lot of drivers. They know that after this Brands Hatch race, they'll be heading to Interlagos, and they'll be heading to a track which is known for hot conditions and is one of the best circuits in the world to be racing at. But they know at this circuit, it's going to be all about precision and setting up the move laps in advance. It's a tough place to go out and overtake. There's only one real long straight where there is overtaking opportunity. That will be coming out of the Surtees Bend and heading over Halewood Rise into turn at number 5 out on track. Hawthorne's Rise? Can't quite remember. But it does seem that everyone is going to be trying to get there at their level best today, and they are leaving it as late as possible to get up onto this starting grid. It's the first time this season we've seen Sindre Setsource at the front, and we'll be looking to try and get the best result possible if he can go and see it. So we'll see if he's going to be able to get what he wants to try and boost his points. He's been great in the European splits. Matt Backham had a great start to the season. Has been a little bit wandering in the middle. Watch out for Julian Rodriguez. Watch out for the likes of Jonas Vollmeyer, Jeff Giassi and co, because the lights procedure starts and there's the green flag, and let's get underway. It's a good start though from what is the front of the field. Zetsos has the run into Paddock Hill Bend of turn number 1. Side by side, they will go for 4th position out on track. Rodriguez under pressure in the MSI Esports car. Here is going to be one Jonas Vollmeyer down the inside. He gets it. Giassi tries to look as well as they go to Graham Hill. As they try and filter their way through. One driver off though on the outside, and another one has spun as well at the back. So not good. Ricardo Castrolano caught up in that one, and Matti Kaida Sawyer has gone around too. So they're in the middle of the pack. The incident, and I believe Cholak was involved there, Jay.
Yeah, I believe you're right there. Martin Cholak involved as well. So fairly scrappy start, but we are underway in that battle for second, third, and fourth. Well, that's on Yal Vaz trying to get through on Mac Backham and Jonas Vollmeyer as well. Sorry, just saw that there was a car in the pits, which has made the timing a little bit messed up. But it's an interesting battle, and 2x2 through here does not work. This is going to get messy.
No, you don't want to go up through Dingle Down, and oh, what an aggressive move this is at the moment, because you've got the likes of Marin Cholak here battling Ivo Howler, trying to go around the outside of Julian Rodriguez. Christopher Danbeats on the outside looking in, and Howler with the chop off gets the move done in the middle of the pack, and they are still fighting in that pack. Kim Eriksson wants by Kai Janssen in this. No, you're not going to get that one to work. Jeff Giassi has found a way through on Mark Perez, but a lap score complete. 4 to the breakaway, and Eriksson's already 8 tenths there, and Eriksson in trouble.
Yeah, in the wall. He's taken 2 with him as well. So we've got Kim Eriksson, Ritson, and Tolston all in the wall, unfortunately. That was just a messy incident, and don't know who's at fault there. We're definitely going to need another look.
It's Larrickson. He's missed his braking point. He's running into the back of Kim Eriksson, and Eriksson's desperately tried to save it, and they've all gathered on the outside. In fact, it was 2 incidents for the price of one, because Brian Lockwood also got caught up. He ran into the back of Ganoso Tisdalen, and Tisdalen ended up finding himself in the tyres as well. And, well, if you want to talk tyre barriers and you talk Mount Panorama today for the Bathurst 12 hour, I think they're very, very grateful for the fact, Jay, that they're on solid land after that incident.
Yeah, definitely, because there's been some scary incidents over the last little while. So, yeah, to make sure that they're safe, to have those tyre barriers there. Some nasty hits over the past little bit, but we're back going again. And Backham now with Vaz. This is an interesting little fight at the front here. Sorry about our live timing. It's got a little bit haywire with an update to the overlay software overnight.
Well, we do know that Yao Vaz is in third position right now, trying to chase down Mac Backham, but Backham took 2/10 out of Sindre Setzels that last time by, so maybe no real emphasis from Yao Vaz to make the move just yet. We'll hope that maybe he can attack for the race lead, get two for the price of one car off, and that is Dan Beats, who has gone off at Paddock Hill. He's put himself in the gravel. He was racing against Julian Rodriguez, who got the move done, ran wide, and tell you what, running wide here today, that cost him 4 positions into Druid's corner. That tells you how competitive this field is. 4 positions for one off.
It's crazy how tight this field is. It's an incredible field. We're very lucky to see such a quality group of drivers out on track for these sort of events, because to get this sort of quality of field in an official race week after week after week, it's very, very much unheard of these days in iRacing. So it's great to see all of these guys out on track each and every week. Competition is so fierce, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and you're seeing it right now. Valtteri Alander is on the bubble when it comes to the top 20. May want to try and find a way down the inside of Dennis Grabowski, increase his points haul for today. And this is a very, very important points haul, because they know that the other 2 splits here today are definitely not as strong. So any drivers who find themselves trying to get points in those second split, third split races, they are not going to find the same amount of points they would have done earlier on in the season. Every points finish, every position in this top split race is vital and makes the difference for about 20 points for each position that they find. Still, nobody close enough really to make the moves, but the second pack, 5th, 6th, 7th, Giassi, Perez, Cholak, altogether. Cholak just about avoided lap 1's instance here, lap 4 of 18. Now trying to set up a move to get himself +3 for the day, get by the number 6, who started 6th and is currently in 6th.
Cholak, a little bit off the pace, and as you said, Perez, he's been one of the more consistent runners throughout this season as well. Had a little bit of bad luck, but Perez has been one to watch. In saying that, everyone in this field hasn't had an absolute perfect run throughout this season. Everyone's had some good and bad form throughout these races, so you can never discount anyone, and you can always say that someone hasn't had a good run, which then it means that there is a potential for huge mistakes. It's going to be interesting at the front though, because Setsas has actually lost a little bit of ground. Mac Backham's starting to fly along.
He certainly is starting to fly here, is Mac Backham, and he will be in full Mac attack, trying to chase us down for the Virtual Racing School Coanda Sim Sport team against Core Sim Racing, and that is a rivalry that has gone by a number of years, and maybe you could say that Core Sim Racing has dropped back a level from where they were earlier, but drivers like Setzels are pulling them up to the level that they very much need to be, want to be, deserve to be, by the fact of the talent that they've got. Adrian Perez running slightly wide through Druid's corner, and Yodi Takanen unable to capitalise. This is 15th, 16th, 17th and 18th behind that. Salva Talens and Samuel Lebert trying to get in on this, try and get some numbers up there fighting, and it just seems to me like Adrian Perez is driving to maximise exits to make sure he can't be attacked.
Yeah, exactly right. There's a little bit of defensive driving going on. I mean, there's such short races, you almost have to defend from lap 1, because there's a potential for a move every single corner around these races. So Perez defending as much as he can, and Takanen just made a little mistake and now under pressure himself. It's an interesting little battle back here. These are all guys that we would expect to see a lot further forward than we're seeing in this race right now.
Right up to the rear through that fantastic Sterling's corner, and suddenly Samuel Lebert has a run up Clearways to the Jim Clark curve, and he can't quite get the move sorted here as they will make the look towards Paddock Hill Bend. Once again, top three split by 0.8 of a second, and there are worries for Jonas Vollmeyer in fourth. If he wants a podium, he is almost 1 second back now at this point in time, and that could spell disaster if he loses the draft. Side by side, here's Christopher Danbeats trying to get around Carl Janssen on the outside of Druids. You don't often get it done on the outside of Druids' corner here, Jay.
Yeah, it's a very, very tough corner to go too wide as it is, and you leave yourself so open to a move around the outside. So, up the inside, but you can over and back if you can hold it on the outside. Probably too early in the race to do that with the tyres at such cool temperatures. Alander here looking around the outside.
He's trying it, and it's tough to get it done at turn 5, and he won't get it here as they run to Westfield Bend, turn 6. Such a deceptive corner this. It's got that very open track layout, and then it just narrows right up through Dingledale and up into this fantastically difficult right-hander, a series of 3 rights which really do test the tyres around this circuit as they now make another charge forward towards the next of these corners. And of course, this final corner, so paramount to the run to Paddock Hill. Alander, another good run off for the exit here. But look at that, hard defence to the inside from Denis Grabowski. There is no way Alander is being allowed that inside. The Russian defends again, but he's gone far too deep in, gets the slide, into the kitty litter he goes, and all the positions gone. Alander having to defend hard as well because Janssen wants in around the outside as well, and all of a sudden he blocks him on the outside line, but he's got an overlap here, and there was just a bit of contact between them. Alander had to back out of it, and suddenly he's under pressure here from Christopher Danbeats once again, and Lockwood trying to go around the outside. What a battle this is!
And this is the mid-pack that we've seen each and every week in this series, because these guys are also even for pace. The tiniest little error amplifies so much more. So this is what we see each and every race in this series. This is going to be a really tough pack throughout over the next little bit. Now, interesting, at the front of the pack, we said that Mac Backham was closing in on Setsource. Setsource set the fastest lap of the race last time by, so he's responded to that pressure from Backham behind.
Yeah, and it was a 124.8 that last time by from Setsource. Can be really happy with that. Of course, these cooler conditions here today, 19 degrees, means that there is a better operating window for these tyres to reach the levels that they've got. The wear will not be as aggressive as they have been at other circuits this season, such as Zandvoort. As they cross the line, what was the response?
Oh, this is messy.
Well, Setsource was ever so slightly slower. They still got battles. Oh my goodness me, it's too wide as they go into Paddock Hill Bend. Janssen under pressure this time from Danbeats, and he'll be looking to go up and now under. Where do you go? Lockwood nowhere to go. He went for the door, that didn't open, and Lockwood gets a hip check for it, and Alander holds off, and all of a sudden here it's more too wide action because this is going to be now Adria Perez once again attacking again. Mugged down the inside. Janssen goes around, taps Lockwood, and everyone just about filters around him, and they're still scrapping despite all this. My word!
What a battle pack this is. This is just crazy. These guys, if you ever wanted to know how much each and every position in this series meant, this is completely obvious as to what each and every spot means. Every point is huge points. These guys want every single position they can. Oh, it's side by side. This doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. Janssen trying to look at Grabowski and Lebert, and Grabowski, who's now having to be aggressive after his mistake, he gets himself a big issue, and Janssen had to let off of it on the outside as he ran himself into trouble. So the mid-pack scrapping and scrapping hard. Meanwhile, the front three are very much in line astern conditions, waiting for the time to strike. Half-distance score complete at the end of this lap here at Brands Hatch, and it is still Sindre Setsource in the lead, but what great lapping they've done. In fact, Yao Vaz was the quickest man of them last time by, so they'll keep that in mind as they go through, as well as this 5th, 6th, 7th battle that's going on at the moment, which seems like Giassi is doing a very good job of maintaining a gap. They are 1 second and 1,000th behind Jonas Vollmeyer for the draft.
Yeah, well, they're catching him as well. Vollmeyer's completely out of that pack at the front now, so it's a battle for 3. But he could get swamped by these 3 here and drop as far as 7th or even further because he is in trouble here. He's not looking comfortable in that car. His pace is, what, 4 or 5 tenths off those guys at the front now. He's in a little bit of trouble, especially with half the race pretty much gone.
Yep, and with half the race gone, you just have to hold on from this point onwards. You know that you can't afford too many mistakes if you want to get a representative of where you can go if it goes wrong. If you lose 9 seconds from where Jonas Vollmeyer is, you're back in 18th place, Jay. That tells you how many points you could lose. He's upwards of 200.
Yeah, it's incredible the pace that these guys have got. The evenness within this series is incredible. As we said in qualifying, it was so close. There's nothing between all of the drivers out there. They've got a car around. Castro Lado's around, and he's hit the wall by the looks of the damage on that car.
Oh, that's not good at all. And actually, he hasn't hit the wall at all as he goes through Westfield Bend. If you can catch it, there was a mistake for Tess-Dalen, and Tess-Dalen gets himself into a slide, and that is a case of Ricky's got nowhere, and that is a hit that he will not be happy about. He manages to get it to a stop and go through, but this has not been a Ricardo Castro-Lado race. He'll use this as a drop. He has been very, very out of sorts today as the number 4 Coanda car, and he will hope that there is better results on the horizon at Interlagos. But racing still continues here at this Brands Hatch circuit, and we still have ourselves some very, very good battles at the moment. Prime is Lockwood versus Adria Perez at the moment. 2 Perez's in this field. On the brakes they go into the right of turn 5, looking for Westfield of 6, and Brian very much having to play the defensive line. He is someone who knows how to race from the ground up. A perennial skip Barber driver, knows that Porsches even are doing a fantastic job at the moment. He's doing a great job to pilot these Porsches. It's very early in the morning. I had a very terrible sleep, it seems.
Of course, Brian Lockwood, no stranger to us at SimSpeed TV as well. Of course, won the Geodesic GoPro Championship in the GT3 class. So, of course, races a fair bit in real life as well. So, very, very quick driver and first appearance in the top split of our broadcast series here on the iRacing Esports Network. So, Lockwood looking strong. But that pack ahead starting to pull away. They're all starting to break up into their own little groups now. And Carl Jansen as well, also putting pressure on Grabowski. But this is the closest it has been at the front. It is now down to under 3 tenths of a second.
It very much is, and that is going to be worrying for Sindre Setsos. I'm sure Mac Backham is not one to go for a half-hearted attempt at a move, but you have to feel that there is an unknown factor. It's the number 13 Drive X Esports car behind. That one being Yao Vaz. That could be the big difference maker when it comes to this team. So when it comes to this race, it could be Zhao Vaz who could be the one who makes the moves happen as they go up through towards now Sterling's corner, this left-hander, and Mac just trying to open up every opportunity. Hope that he gets himself a run, but again, there is a car length in between, which is saying he's not in position to make that happen. He really does have to be under 1.5 tenths if he really wants this move to happen here, Jay.
Yeah, really tough track to pass. Probably the toughest on the on the calendar, this circuit. I mean, we saw a couple of weeks ago Daytona, probably in hindsight one of the easier circuits to overtake with the draft. And there's a mistake from Setsos. He's going to have to defend hard now. Starting to be a little bit of a crack in the armour at the front.
Oh, he just ever so slightly dipped a tyre off into that gravel. He's got to be careful about using too much of the road, but Mac could not attack in that situation. In fact, because he was so narrow there, Jay, because he was pinched so much through turn 2, trying to get in the mirrors, he has dropped a little bit of time, and actually, the 4 behind are starting to close in ever so slightly. Vollmeyer has not been the quickest in the world, but he's matching pace, but Giassi and Perez and also Marin Cholak, and Cholak was the fastest man last time by. They're all bringing themselves back in. This could be a pack of 7 for the race win.
Yeah, we're just getting a replay of an incident. This is Carl Jansen making contact with Dennis Grabowski. So they've made contact, Grabowski around and lost 3 spots there. So, yeah, you're right, that front pack is really starting to crack. And here comes Perez too. Mark Perez looking very, very strong now too. So, out of this secondary pack, he's probably the most likely to get a move done. But Sindre Setsos, not as strong as we might have thought earlier. We now have 7 that could win this race.
We certainly are, and when you talk about the move that happened just a little bit earlier on between Grabowski and also Carl Janssen, you have to say that Grabowski was trying to shut that door into turn number 2, take his line. Janssen did have a nose down the inside, that's why there was contact, but it is the top 7 now, split by 3.2 at the moment. Backham in prime position at this point in time, but everybody is trying to find some pace. Look at the pace of those in the middle of the pack at the moment. They are the fastest drivers in the field at the moment, running 24/7s. You're talking about Valtteri Alander and Christopher Dambeats. They are the quickest men on track at the moment, and they know that they're racing each other for one position. If they go quick enough, they might just get involved with Moreno and Howler, who are also trying to stay on the back of Cholak, Perez and co. This is fascinating racing.
Yeah, and only 5 and a bit laps to go, so it's coming to an end very, very quickly. Only about 7.5 minutes of racing left. So they really have to start to work on their moves, work out where their opponent is weakest, and try and work out where they can get these spots. Some of the guys at the front might be happy to settle for a 2nd and a 3rd just based on points, but those guys from 4th back, they'll be wanting to get every position they can, because as we keep saying, points are at a premium in this series. Every position means so much.
It absolutely does. They look to go and start lap 14 out of 18. 5 laps to go at Brands Hatch. Mac Backham gap 2 1/4 tenths of a second as he gets himself a 24.9 that last time by. Fastest man on track was Jonas Vollmeyer that last run through, but Dambeats was even quicker than that. So Dambeats and Alander fighting out, and remember, Alander is on the bubble at the moment for the top 20, needs this result, but it is the top 7 at the moment in 2 separate distinct packs, having these fantastic fights. They go up into Surtees corner, turn 4. This is going to be one of the key places to get it done if you can, but ultimately, up the hill, nobody in position just yet to make that move. I think Mac needs to set this one up 2 laps in advance.
You know, it's such a short circuit that you really do have to set it up so far in advance. Dambeats is looking really strong too. I was just going to comment when you were talking before about the lap times of Dambeats. 3 laps in a row, he's been the fastest car on track. 3 laps in a row, he's done times that are faster than all but 3 cars out on circuit. He is flying at the moment, by far the fastest in the Team Redline crew. He, if he had got a bit better of a start to this race and was up a little bit higher, he could find himself in a little bit of a better spot, in a much better spot, and maybe even the pace he's got could have fought for the win. I mean, it's obvious if he started better, he'd be a little bit higher, but his pace could be there for the win. Disappointing.
Remember, Dambeats started in 11th, and he is currently in 11th at the moment. Another 24.8, and he's forcing Alander to go quicker. 24.7 from Valtteri Alander, fastest man that last time by over the line, as they battle for the final spot inside of the top 10. But now with 4 laps to go, you start gearing up. Do I have what it takes to make a move? And we've seen so many times in these Porsche races that they can be as close as they are, running as close as they are, and they be unable to go and make a move. They don't have a 1.5 kilometre straight, 2K, 3K straight, like the Dossinger Herb, like they had at the start of the season. It's a tough circuit, Brands Hatch, to get moves done. How do you get a move done around a track where you don't have straight line to help you as much as other places?
It's yeah, a tough track to set up moves, and Backham is starting to feel a bit of pressure from behind. Vollmeyer's closed up, sort of going off tangent a little bit here. Dambeats also has dropped off, but this circuit, you're right, there's nowhere to really get momentum on your opponent because you're so close, and it's basically, I was trying to think of an analogy about this circuit and I've already lost one, so something I probably can't say on the air. So let's move on to something else. 3 laps to go. How's that?
3 laps to go. That's a good thing to move on to. Mac Backham, 2.5 tenths of a second, 1/4 of a second. Can't get it done. Maybe Druids is where he's trying to set this one up because he's right up underneath through that section. He is confident on the brakes through Druids. He just needs an opening, and he's not seen that for a number of laps here today. So Mac just sitting and waiting. The top 3 have remained unmoved for 16 laps of this race. They've been playing formation at the moment, but now you've got to start thinking about this. drivers may be a little bit hesitant to make these moves for the fact that they've only got 4 drop rounds and the fact that they are pretty much sitting and waiting for an opportunity to come and pass them by. If not, it's still some really big points.
Well, yeah, while you say they've been sitting in formation, it's almost like you can sense from the body language of Backham's car that he has been just watching, trying to apply a little bit of pressure to set source to work out where he's weak and then try and set up a move now. From this point on, as you said, needs to set it up 2 laps in advance. From this point on, he's going to try and make these moves. You can tell in the body language of the car, as I said. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Backham maybe throw a nose up there or a bit of a false move this time by and set it up on the last lap.
Well, he did lose ever so slightly over the course of that last lap. Jonas Vollmeyer in within 9/10 now of this lead group as they all try and desperately stay in contention, in position. At the moment, there's been no changes of position, though, for a number of laps in this field as they all race about trying to find exactly what they need with these 2 laps remaining in this race. Salvatellans and Adria Perez, they're also fighting for position 13th and 14th at the moment on the road. Every position matters. It's no mistakes racing from here, and now João Vaz might be close enough here to start harassing the Backham for second.
Yeah, Backham made a little bit of a mistake there, missed the apex through turn 4, so now starting to feel some pressure from Vaz, who's looked really strong, as we said in qualifying. He's been sort of moving his way up throughout this field, throughout each race too, so he did a really, really good job in qualifying. This is obviously a strong track for him. He might be the one to steal a win away from these 2 ahead. Don't be surprised, but this pack behind is starting to look very angry as well. And again, Dan Beats, fastest car on track. No surprise there.
No surprises at all, but they round the Jim Clark curve to start the final lap here at Brands Hatch. Only 3.7 kilometres remain in this race, and it is the Norwegian Sindre Setsaas ahead of the Dutchman Max Backham, and then the Portuguese driver João Vaz in 3rd, Vollmeyer 4th, Giassi in 5th, Perez 6th, Cholak 7th, and Ivo Howler back there in 8th places on the train, as is Julian Rodriguez in 9th. 9 looking for the race victory, but it most likely looks like 3 and could very easily be 1 as Setsaas goes through the Graham Hill bend and has himself maybe 3-4 car lengths now of advantage. Matt Backham's looking the wrong way if he wants this big wide entry in then from Setsaas to try and get the power down as quickly as he can. This is the big place to get a move done if you can, and not in position here as co-handers Matt Backham. He has just been on the cusp. He's looking for a mistake from a driver who very rarely finds those sorts of mistakes. It now requires professionalism. It requires perfection from both drivers. Look how much Matt closes through Westfield. Uses all of the track on the exit though. He's desperate. Needs a great Sterling's here to get it done. It's not this corner, it's the next one, because the final corner is the only place Matt Backham can start looking for his quantum of solace. And now you've got to think, is there a chance on the brakes for Matt? He thinks about looking to the inside. There's no room at the inn to go and make that move. It was a flawless race, executed from start to finish from Sindre Setsaas, who will lead the procession home and wins at Brands Hatch for Core Sim Racing. Backham second, Vaz in 3rd, and that is how you defend a race from the front of the field at Brands Hatch there, Jay.
Yeah, well done to Sindre Setsaas for holding on there. He looked like he had a couple of moments there where, as we said, the armour was going to break, or was starting to show a few kinks in that armour, but he did a great job of defending, holding onto that position, was strong in the right sections of the circuit. In the areas he was weak, he defended very, very well. Great driving, and well done to Sindre Setsaas on a great win.
A fantastic win as everybody comes over the line. We can get official classified results then here from the Brands Hatch circuit, and it is very, very telling. It is the number 7 machine of Sindre Setsaas, who started on pole position, had not lost the lead. It's a lights to flag victory. Minutes and 38 seconds. His margin of victory ended up being just 3/10 over Mac Backham in the number 1 machine there in second. Big points for Mac. João Vaz will come home 3rd with Jonas Vollmeyer 4th and Jeff Giassi rounding out the top 5. Mark Perez would finish off in 6th place, exactly where he started. Marin Cholak up 2 into 7th, and Ivo Howler in 8th place. It'll be Julian Rodriguez who dropped all the way back down to 9th after a poor start to his event, and Valtteri Alanda rounding out the top 10, 6 seconds, splitting the top 10 drivers.
Yeah, what a close race, and you got Dan Beats right there as well. So top 11 under 7 seconds, the top 14 under 10 seconds with Lockwood, Perez, and Talons in that next group. Ioni Takinen a little bit further back than we would have expected, with Libert as well as Kaito Soda all a long way back. But in saying that, time-wise, only 13 seconds back for the top 17. Grabowski, Ericsson, and Telston all had disappointing races, with Castro later and Luritzen the last of the finishers. Carl Jensen had an issue with 5 laps to go, did not finish, as well as Peter Berriman and Yanni Vecchio.
And it is worth noting that your biggest movers and shakers in this field were Adria Perez and Salva Talens, both coming from the 12th row of the grid to finish 13th and 14th, both gained 10 places over the course of racing action. But that is not all, because in 1 week's time, we are heading over to the Sambaland, some would say. We are heading to Autodromo Jose Carlos Base, and also that Interlagos track, which arguably is the race I'm looking most forward to, because if anybody knows anything about Interlagos, it is one of the few tracks you can actually say, Jay, that you can go a lap side by side.
Well, we've seen it before in all different sorts of classes where you can go side by side for full lap or even more. So looking forward to getting to Interlagos next week, and really cool finish to the schedule as well. So Interlagos, VIR, Silverstone, and then Elkhart Lake at Road America. Going to be an awesome finish this season. Drop weeks start to come into play now, so drivers will start to drive a little bit more tactically. For those guys that are outside that top 20, there is going to be some big races coming up for them. They'll be wanting to work very hard to get into those spots.
Drivers will be racing to try and take points away from others, make life difficult. Now, this is where team warfare comes in. Who will try and stack the splits to try and make sure that they get themselves more points as possible with as many teammates as they possibly can? It's all in the mindset as they look towards 1 week's time, as they all look to go through. Driver interview, though, we've got Sindre Setsource joining us from Core Sim Racing. Sindre, let's talk about qualifying first and foremost. It was a mightily tight qualifying, 123.8. It was good enough to get it done for you.
Yeah, I think the lap was good. These tires are a bit unreliable on whether you get the grip or not. Yeah, I started the lap and it felt awesome. It's like a 1 in 10, it seems like, if you want to get them perfect or not. So yeah, it worked really well in qualifying. I was a bit mad because I dropped over a 10th in the final corner, but it still just about got me pole. So yeah, really happy.
Well, a pole position you definitely got, but let's talk about that race for you, because that was unrelenting in some respects. You always had Mac Backham Jalvaus behind, keeping you in check. It had to be a no-mistakes race, and while we did see maybe a half tyre here, a half tyre there, you were surely just using all of the track to your advantage.
Yeah, just trying to run without mistakes. I know Mac wouldn't try anything unless I did a mistake, so it's just trying to get it to the line without doing any major mistakes that would have dropped me behind. Then again, if I felt like he was pressuring me too much, I probably would have let him go. I don't need a race win in that sense for points, but it was nice to get, and yeah, I'm just happy with the race result. I didn't have too much race practice before this race, mostly practicing qualifying this week, and it seemed like it paid off.
And in terms of racing, you've been absolutely on it in the European splits, picking up the big points there. Your first win when it comes to sim speed. You now look to Interlagos. A week's time, the drop rounds start factoring in. Now you start to wonder, how important has this core sim racing charge been, given the fact that a lot of your teammates today had to fight in the mid to late pack?
Yeah, I know Carl has been struggling a bit in qualifying, same with Samuel when it comes down to it. Just gotta keep pushing on, see where we can improve, and yeah, just take week by week. And I think I'm good for points now. I have 8 strong weeks, but I'll keep helping Carl and Samuel out and see if we can get 3 cars into the World Championship.
Well, we certainly hope to see that from Core Sim Racing. But before we let you go, shout out sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank.
Just want to thank everyone at Core Sim Racing and our sponsor, Set One Dashboard.
Well, no worries at all. Sindre Setsource picking up a big victory come the end. But of course, that is where the curtain closes here on the iRacing Esports Network with the SimSpeed TV presentation. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe for more great content here on the iRacing Esports Network from all of our friends here of SimSpeed TV. Of course, you've got RaceBot TV, the Global Sim Racing channel, LSR TV, like the Podium Esports. You've got so many great channels, Apex Racing TV as well, who have all been fantastic. But from Jay Kennedy, who has been on the cameras and on the voice, so to speak, on my left-hand side, I've been Jake Sperry. It's Sindre Setsource who gets the win at Brands Hatch as the drivers start to book their places and think about a 2020 challenge. But they head to a track which is notorious for side-by-side battling. This is the toughest track of the calendar so far. They will head to Interlagos, and they will hope that points are going to be prizes for them. You can catch it in 1 week's time, and we will see you then.
This is fantastic. This is GT Racing right now.
He's got traction. He's going the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh
him.
my God. Oh. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?